Welcome back. I'm Andrew, your crypto guy on the internet. Sorry I haven't been around as much. I got a new job and it's got me very busy, but it is exciting and challenging work. But I wanted to drop by and have a little state of the union on things. Maybe a couple of updates on price action and the macro picture changes and stuff. There's some good news and bad news. The mixed news is Bitcoin's price is hanging around 20K. We did drop to about 18.5, back up to 21.5. We're just in this range here around 20,000. And I'm seeing a lot of calls of Bitcoin's dead, it's over, blah, blah, blah. And it should be much lower than this, considering the market. This is the worst market ever by many measurements. But we're still holding on to 20,000. And there could be some major factors that are keeping it afloat compared to the last time we fell this hard, which was, I want to say 2018. Where was it? Yeah, end of 2017 was our previous high at 19.7. Everybody was hyped. Unbelievable. How could Bitcoin be at 19,000? This is the best day ever. And then there was a year of down and sideways. And I was going to work every day looking at my account, seeing my Bitcoin at 3,000. I'm going, what the hell? This sucks. I should have been buying it like crazy. I wasn't. I just let it coast along. And that was my chance to buy a bunch. And so then it came back up. You know, it was fighting back and forth, back in the teens. And then, you know, the end of December 2020, fat pump. It was crazy. And that was just from excessive money printing. So then we, you know, more than tripled our previous all-time high, all the way up to 69,000. Nice. And now we're back down to 20K, which is our previous cycle's high. It should be lower. Like, considering the state of the world, it can and should be much lower. So I have people charting 15K, 12K, 10K. Some nut jobs are even saving 3,000, which I don't see that. I don't know about that. But I also said I don't know about 20K, right? But there was some support at 20K, some major macro factors, and the charts have support at 20K, as you're seeing right now. So I still think it could go lower. That's why I dollar cost average, I DCA. I don't know where the bottom's going to be. But we are going to find it here, and it's going to be lousy for at least another year, maybe 2 years. It could be all the way to the end of this presidency before we see some light at the end of the tunnel. Which, there's two ways to look at that. You either panic and freak out, or you see it as a juicy buying opportunity. So if you have some dry powder, if you're earning extra money, now's the time to start buying in little chunks. And you're going to have some time, unless something major changes, which we might see some major changes here pretty soon, and which I'll get into later. This is your chance to get it cheap. So the people who were excited about Bitcoin at 60K should be 3 times as excited at 20K, because they can buy more now, right? You might be a whole coiner for the first time ever. So the Fear and Greed Index has improved up to double digits. It doesn't show it here, but at one point we were at, I think, a 7. 5 is mass cannibalism. So we were almost there, people. It was 7, 8, 7, 8, 9, 8. We were like, oh man, this is bad. I was ready to go eat my neighbors, right? But we're back up to double digits. We're still scared, though. Ethereum has delayed their difficulty bomb, which is supposed to scare everybody that's operating in proof of work to move over to proof of stake. And the proof of stake merge, we're thinking occurs in September, October, probably September. So it delayed the difficulty bomb by 100 days, which lines right up to September, was when we were anticipating the merge. Who knows with Ethereum, though? They take things slowly, they delay things, because they don't want to release something that doesn't work or has bugs or security problems, right? So I'd rather they go slowly and do it correctly. I'm fine with that. Bitcoin open interest is super low. We're at 8 billion, and here's all the major exchanges. Kraken's all the way down to 38 million in open interest, which means people are not playing around with leverage nearly as much, which is a healthy thing, okay? That's a good thing. We're shaking out all the leverage, all the inflated money, all the risky people, the gamblers are getting flushed out. And we're getting down to the real money here, which is a good thing and necessary as part of a healing process, okay? The stock markets have been a total mess. It's not just crypto. Don't think it's just crypto. It's everything. Like, everything sucks unless you're invested in certain commodities or you're into oil stocks or something, you're probably feeling the pain right now. And some people are taking full advantage of this pain. Like our guy Sam Bankman-Fried from FTX. Remember, FTX is one of the, let's see, yeah, it's the third largest, looks like the third largest exchange going on globally here, only behind, Binance and who's this? OKX, I'm not on there. Anyway, so Sam Bankman-Fried is buying up all the weakness around him in his space. Now this headline, they're saying he's going to buy BlockFi for $25 million. That's fake news. That ain't happening. Okay, maybe they're working on some other number, but it ain't $25 million. I can tell that right now. But he's been buying up his competition, either ownership stake, like controlling amount of shares, or he's extending credit lines. He's giving them loans to keep them on the hook, kind of like what China does to every other country in the world. So he seems like the kind of guy who would go play in a Magic the Gathering tournament. And if you've ever seen an interview with him, he's usually in a greasy t-shirt. He's like a total nerd. But on the inside, Sam Bankman-Fried is a cunning businessman. And he smells blood in the water, and he's going to start absorbing all of his little competition. So good for him. That's a smart move. That's how you become the biggest boy on the block, by doing what he's doing. Now, he was going to buy out Celsius, or at least give him some kind of bailout. Remember Celsius with Alex Mashinsky? Apparently there's a rumor of Alex tried to skip town. He tried to bail from the country. I don't know if that's true, but it would make sense considering how much trouble Celsius is in. Anyway, so Sam Bankman-Fried of FTX goes to look at Celsius. There was talks of maybe him bailing them out or buying them up or something, and then he saw the numbers behind Celsius and went, woo, and he left. So Celsius is in deep trouble. Try to get your money out of there if you can. They're not opening up any new accounts for customers. Maybe you can get your money out of there if you still have it. Another warning, Voyager. Okay, remember the collapse of Three Arrows Capital? It's bringing down a lot of legitimate companies with them, unfortunately. So Voyager was tied up with them, and they took a financial hit. And so they're actually getting a loan, I think, from FTX as well. But if you have currency sitting in a Voyager account, you might want to take it off, put it in a wallet, or move it somewhere else for a while until this blows over, okay? So Voyager's on thin ice. Not that they've done anything wrong, but they've been involved with a scumbag, and it's like poisoning them. So get out of Voyager for a little bit, okay? A similar case is Kucoin. If you're in Kucoin, let's see what these people look like. Their parent company was involved with Three Arrows Capital and lost a bunch of money with them. So, although Kucoin is probably going to be fine, if you have a bunch of stuff on their exchange, maybe take it off for a little while and just wait this out for a bit, okay? That's your warning. So if you're on Voyager or Kucoin, back off for a second. If there's anybody else that's on thin ice, I'll let you know. As far as I know, Binance is still good. Kraken's still good. Coinbase, they'll be all right. They're huge. They've been kind of in some hot water, but they're okay. Okay, Coinbase so far, as of this video, is still fine. But if you're in Kucoin or Voyager, or especially Celsius, get your stuff out just in case. Okay. Now, in terms of the inflation story, well, we got some more numbers, and they're still way too high. All right, still way too high. And some people are thinking that, well, maybe this is the peak because we're seeing the same terrible number a couple times in a row. Like, I don't know about that. So, inflation's still a total mess, and it's going to be bad for a while. Okay, it's not official that we're in a recession. We're in a recession. Okay, so just digest that and try to move forward with that information. So what is Joe doing? He's trying to get oil from somewhere else because he doesn't want to produce more here. Or they are producing more, but the oil companies are kind of playing coy because they don't like where Joe Biden's policies are going. So these oil companies are scared to invest. And so it's making the price go up. there's a million arguments both ways. Either way, they don't like Joe, and Joe doesn't like them, and so the prices keep going up and up and up, and Joe continues to blame everybody else around the world. So he goes to talk to the Saudis to beg for more oil. Turns out the best they could do is like another 150,000 barrels a day, and we're short about 1 million barrels a day, last I read. So that didn't work. But we're still sending billions of dollars to, other projects around the world while we're screwed here and can't get baby formula. Another thing I wanted to see here was, hang on a second, Supreme Court EPA. So everyone's saying that this is the world's going to go into sludge and we need Captain Planet and all that stuff. Really, the EPA was overreaching. Okay, the EPA is there to enforce laws related to the environment, but they had been overreaching. It's almost like they were creating their own rules and own laws for people to follow, which is not their job. And so the Supreme Court had to step in and go, yeah, EPA, sorry, you can't do that. If you want to have new laws and new rules for the nation to follow and all these businesses to follow, that has to go through legislation, through Congress. The same kind of thing happened with abortion stuff lately. It wasn't in the Constitution. It was just based on one ruling from Roe v. Wade, but it was never codified by the Democratic Party. So eventually, some case went to the Supreme Court, and they're like, yeah, this isn't a real rule. So they had to let it go back to the states. So you have to legislate and make something real before you try to enforce it or expect it to stick around forever. So the Supreme Court has curtailed the EPA's overreaching powers until some proper legislation comes through to justify their extra enforcement powers. So this comes down to the Joe Biden and his crew need to actually put in the work to get something to stick rather than try to force it around the Congress, since they're not getting approval on anything, it seems. So how does that add up? Well, hey, if the EPA has to back off, that might encourage more industrialization, more expansion, maybe. Maybe that'll help with, building new things, or I don't know. I like that the Supreme Court's doing their job, whether I agree with what they've chosen to do or not. I'm glad they're actually sticking to what they're supposed to do. Like, all three branches of government are supposed to check each other, and the Supreme Court is actually stepping up and doing what their job is supposed to be, which puts pressure on Congress to actually do their job. Okay? You don't be mad at the Supreme Court for doing what they're supposed to do. You have to be mad at Congress for not doing what they're supposed to be doing. So, or happy with it, however you want to look at it. But the bottom line is, the Supreme Court is doing what they're supposed to be doing with this stuff and with abortion. Whether you agree with it or not, it's how the process works, and the process must be followed, or we get runaway kings and authoritarians, right? You have to go through proper legislation through elected officials in Congress. Thank you. Now, enough about that. So what's the outlook here? All of the models have fallen apart. Everything that normally makes sense is no longer happening. Like, we didn't fill the CME gap as predicted. We didn't get the pump we were supposed to get. And that's because we keep getting more and more of these colossal failures within the world of crypto and in the macro picture of the market. And sometimes you just get screwed. Like, you're just going to have to wait this out. So, like, everything that makes sense is falling apart because of extraordinary circumstances that aren't normally here. So we're just going to have to wait this out, DCA, if you have dry powder. And if you don't have dry powder, get some. By dry powder, I mean like extra spending money that you could buy either crypto or stocks with because they're at a discount. So which ones am I buying lately? Well, I loaded up on a little more Amazon. Tesla, I just got to vote for whether or not they're going to do a split. I think they will. I might pick up another couple of shares of Tesla here in a little bit. BBIG was kind of hyped as the new meme stock. They had a little payout where you get free shares of Tide, Cryptide, but they're getting whale manipulated big time. So This is like a little pet project, BBIG and Tide. That's stupid. Don't put your money in any meme stocks right now. You could get into Occidental Petroleum, which is what is keeping Warren Buffett afloat right now. That's a good move considering how everything else is on fire. The DXY is still looking mega bullish, and if they keep increasing interest rates, the DXY will go up, but corporate debt, civilian debt is at an all-time high, and if you keep raising these rates, it's all going to collapse into a forced recession, which is really ugly, but it does fix inflation much faster. So we'll see what happens. I need to get a tan. It's just so damn hot out, but this new job, I'm happy about it. Dude, check this out. So I'm in charge of like 4 major websites that used to have a huge viewing, but that audience was largely gotten through bots, like bots on Twitter and stuff, and the bots got banned, and so the views stopped, and now I have to bring us back up to those crazy high viewership numbers manually. So we have a site about anime, a site about crypto, a site about sport bikes, and one for Fortnite. Now, 2 of those 4 things I find really interesting, but generally they're interesting topics, and the people who like that stuff really like that stuff. So the subject matter is fun, and it's a challenge. So I do like my new job, and you might not see as much of me lately, but you know, I'm always going to be around to drop by and help you out. Enjoy July 4th. Although it's, you might have to go with vegan options this year because shit's so damn expensive. Maybe you can get those poverty abs, get ribbed up like Jesus. You can finally get that look you've been trying to get ever since high school. I don't know. I'm trying to look at the bright side of things. Oh! There was some discussion, a Senate hearing with Charles Hoskinson and a bunch of other people in crypto, and it went well. And so I think the crypto regulations thing is still underway. Gary Gensler was a dick. Let me show this. Hang on a second. Grayscale Bitcoin ETF. This was a real bummer. This is another thing that really screwed us. Okay, I almost forgot. Remember Grayscale was putting together a Bitcoin ETF, right? Everybody's been trying, but Grayscale really seemed to have the horsepower. And they had regular talks with the SEC leading up to us that were very positive and very welcoming. Then at the last second, Gary Gensler cut it off. The ETF thing fell apart, and that really nuked the Bitcoin price because we had a little bit of a surge back and fell right back down, and the volume continues to be lousy. And so Grayscale is suing the SEC over this. I don't know how you're going to do suing them, but it keeps them busy, I guess. Either way, all this ETF crap has to wait until regulations come in. And Gary Gensler of the SEC said that Bitcoin is going to be a commodity, but he wouldn't mention any other coin, which was strange because Ethereum was already deemed a commodity back in 2018, but he didn't mention that. So are they going to change things with Ethereum? I don't know, but either way, we know Bitcoin is here to stay, and despite how the price action's been crappy, that's okay, the market always comes back. But Bitcoin's here to stay, Ethereum should be here to stay. Gary Gensler's just being a fudder. I don't know, we'll see. Keep it together, guys, we'll be alright.